This is the June 2026 market update for the greater Edmonton area. We're looking at the numbers from May of 2026. We're going to focus into not only the greater Edmonton area, we're going to focus specifically into Stony Plain, Spruce Grove. We'll look at always the favorite, the big market hitters, where those high selling prices came in individually on some of these homes, townhouses, and condos. And more importantly, we're also going to take a little deeper dive into where the market trend is in relation to mortgages, because the Bank of Canada met just recently on June 10th. So anytime along the way you want more of a private consultation as to how the market trends and mortgages are affecting you, just DM me directly and we can set up a consultation and work from there. So let's dive into those numbers. What we're seeing first and foremost is that the sales activity was actually up, with a total inventory count going out at 2,557. So that's up by 3.2% from April of 2026. And it's actually down 13.4% over the same time last year. We see listings were up big time, 21.7% over April. And that's only up slightly from the same time last year, May 2025, by 2.7%. So what that really is showing us right now is that we have an overall inventory that is up by 13.4% from April and up a big 23.9% from May of 2025. So what we've been seeing is sort of a trend over the last couple of months was more and more leading to a balanced market. So we have an inventory now that is sitting at 3.1 months supply. We always say that if you see anything moving from 3 to 5 months, we're more and more into a balanced market. So things are stabilizing out. Where we look at the average selling price for a detached single family home, that was up to $604,700. So that's 2.6% increase over April. And that's still up over May of 2025 by 4.8%. When it comes into the big hitters, what we do have, there's a single family home that sold in Parkview, just over 4,000 square feet at $3.125 million. So Parkview is definitely a big area where you're seeing that transition from some of the older homes into these newer upgraded split homes. And of course, just picking up some nice, beautiful home renovations just on an infill type project. We've got duplexes going out about $781,000. We had a townhouse for $591,500 and a condo that was in the McGrath area going out at $795,000. Your numbers specifically for Stony Plain, Spruce Grove, we had sales numbers at 46, which is about the same as last year, with an average selling price of $435,600. And that's actually an increase by about $30,000 over the same time of 2025. Spruce Grove, the numbers were relatively the same, down slightly over the same time from 2025. The May sales units were at 68, with an average sale price of $535,300. And that is on par to what it was from the prior year. So again, a few other variables for the Stony Plain Spruce Grove market that is falling in line in essence, the way we are with the increase over inventory and kind of things settling into a balanced market. So making a great time, be looking at the purchasing or even selling still. A strong market out there. Now, the interesting thing we're going to look at a little further too is, as I mentioned earlier, the Bank of Canada met on June 10th. And they had made a decision not to change the overnight lending rate. So why is that important? So we always talk about overnight lending rate is the rate how banks exchange their monies between them, which affects the prime rate, which affects the variable rate. So bottom line is this: if you have a variable rate mortgage, your mortgage payment is not going up, which is a great thing. Now, the reason for the rate hold is the Bank of Canada wants to keep inflation between 1% and 3%. And inflation was coming in at 2.8%. Now, they do see a few, well, we talk about maybe some dark skies ahead, but some positivity. So from the positive side, which was a little bit unexpected, was a huge jump in the employment numbers over last month. And something you're looking at too is just paying gas at the pumps. What was happening with the US and Iran, we were seeing some huge jumps, but that has kind of stabilized a little bit over the last little while. So that was the reason where the Bank of Canada says, we're just going to keep things stabilized for the next little bit. Interesting thing is, fixed rates did see an upward trend over the last few months, and there's a little bit more of a balance in that as well too. Now, when we look at some of the things happening for Canada, it is exciting to see that, Canada has a very big advantage in what it can offer to not only the US, even though the US seems to think Canada doesn't have that much to offer, but definitely worldwide. So there is a huge Canadian advantage where we're very diversified in our economics and with our resources, employment services, and everything else from behind the scenes. So that just diversification has really led to Canada stepping out here over the last few months, or really over the last past year, and looking at changing where their market positioning has been. So you can see that they increased exports by $50 billion to other countries outside of just the US specifically. And that's closing a gap as a result of the tariffs that were coming through by the US that really put a decrease on some of the exports. But there was a gap there, and that gap is closed by about 88% just by simply going out and finding new markets, new places to bring our resources to. And as you've probably heard through the news, there's new ING gas type product going through pipelines and such. So there can be some really positive things coming forward for Canada. The other thing to keep an eye on too is that the CUSMA deal, which is between Canada, USA, and Mexico, it's kind of up for renewal. And with Trump and his administration, it'll be interesting to see how things play out. Canada's not moving to pull too many strings to get involved with them too far because we are being diversified. So there's some very positive things coming forward for Canada through it all as well too. Now, with all these changing variables in the marketplace, between mortgage rates, housing prices and such, it's really important to ensure that if you're buying or selling, to know where you stand in the market today, especially if you're looking at getting a mortgage. The key is to get pre-approved, know exactly what you can afford based upon your current financial situation. Really look at the budgeting and the numbers and everything throughout so that you can get the detailed plan that you need to make the right informed decision. Need some help in looking at how those numbers break down, how the market will affect your potential buy or sell? Message me directly. Be happy to help you out further. Have yourselves an awesome day. Cheers.